Be nice if I take mute off. Good evening, everyone. My name is James Jimmy Hills. I'm the host of Java with Jimmy, also your Healthy Java and Java After Dark. And we are here this evening to talk about reproductive health. For those of you that watch Java with Jimmy or on my personal page, you know that we are very active with ABCD Health Services around a theme called cuffing season. We took a radical approach. ABCD allowed me to take an approach that a lot of us joke about this time of year, that, you know, we trying to get cuffed up. It's cold outside. You want a little body heat. Well, you can get cuffed up with somebody, but you don't want to get cuffed up with STIs, HIV, or unwanted pregnancy. Tonight, we're specifically talking about ways that you can prevent unwanted pregnancy. We are specifically talking about some myths around birth control. I will say, as James Hills, there may be some opinions this evening that are not the opinions of our guests from the Boston Public Health Commission and our guests also from ABCD Health Services. With that said, if you are in tune with anything that's going on in our country with a lot of conversation about the status of reproductive health, it is imperative this evening that you invite young women, and I'm going to say something to brothers, and I'm going to name that we are talking about heterosexual relationships traditionally. And what we have to, and let me just name, since I said that, if we have someone that may be exploring the spectrum and you are a man of trans experience and you are biologically able, you might want to listen as well. Again, my opinion. But it is important that men listen to this as well. And so I'm getting ready to bring in both of our guests. This is After Dark. And so, we might have some real conversations. We're going to dispel some of the myths. And when I looked at this true or false, I said, oh my, I can't believe that people really believe these are some ways that you can prevent pregnancy. So go ahead, everybody that's in right now, hit that share button as I get ready to bring in our guests. And so Maureen is not a stranger to the Java Cafe anymore. I think she's been in 3 or 4 times just so far this year. And she is the director of ABCD Health Services, who I've had the pleasure of working with the past few months on the Cuffin season campaign. Additionally, we have Emily Wilcox, who is a nurse practitioner from the Boston Public Health Commission. And as you know, as we've been sharing on our flyers, she's part of the school-based health program over at the Boston Public Health Commission. And so we're going to speak with them this evening just about dispelling a lot of the myths and just a lot of misinformation that is out there about birth control. And so what I'd like to do, Maureen, you've been here before, so if you could do a quick introduction. Actually, let's start with Emily since she's our new person. Emily, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, and if you could describe the importance of dispelling myths around birth control, please describe that in one word.
Okay, so
welcome to the Java Cafe.
Thank you. I'm Emily Wilcox. I've been a nurse practitioner for about 20 years and with the Health Commission for about 9 of those, and working in teen health. In terms of, I don't know if I can cut it down to one word, but I'm going to quote our wonderful community health worker, Cassandra Jones, who always says knowledge is power. So I guess I would say knowledge is what's the most important thing, to boil it down to, that the more information you have, the better choices you can make, and the more control you have over what's happening in your life.
I am so glad that we have you here with us and Emily is going to be sort of our clinical expert as a nurse practitioner. And Maureen, again, who is not a stranger, director of health services, has been in community for years, different community health centers and whatnot. Maureen, if you could introduce yourself, and the same, we'll try to get you to do one word, but Emily did come down to knowledge. She came down to knowledge. Maureen, what is your word? And welcome back to the Java Cafe.
Thank you for having me again. I'm a women's health nurse practitioner, and Emily and I were colleagues for many years.
Wait a minute, hold on. I didn't know you were a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
All right. Sorry. Let's go back to the introduction.
Yeah, I'm a women's health nurse practitioner, and like I said, Emily and I work together. And so when we thought about who was going to address this, I immediately thought of, my colleagues that work with teens. My one word, I guess I would say, because in my mind I'm saying don't believe the hype. I'm just saying hype. It's
okay.
It's a lot of circumstances.
Let's go there and talk about just the importance of dispelling. We're going to do we have a show coming up next month. We're also going to do one in February, end of January, as we're getting close to Valentine's Day. That's the big Cuffin season. But Maureen, we are in this partnership because the numbers are in a hype status right now. There's some fluctuation. I just saw a report the other day that 23 saw a very slight decrease, I believe, in comparison to 22 around STIs. Not sure if it said HIV. However, it's still an issue. And so when you use the word hype, we're talking to get away from some of the hype of the myths. And so let's just start. One of the things I think a lot of people may need to be updated on, and I'll start with you here with Maureen, is my impression was there was a time you went into your doctor, either not being a woman, but you go into your OBGYN and you request birth control, and it's been typical pills. I want to also pause and say tonight we are specifically talking about the birth control mode of, I believe, the birth control pills. There are other ways that you can prevent pregnancy, STIs, and HIV, but I want to say birth control is all inclusive. But tonight we're talking about the pill. And so a woman would go into the doctor and say, hey, I would like to be prescribed the birth control pill. That is my presumption of the typical access. Where are we at with access in 2024?
Well, right now, you don't need, in the past, it was the exam, the pelvic exam. Emily remembers these days, making sure that you were healthy enough. Now, other than a few questions of contraindications that would prevent you from taking the pill, or past use that caused some really bad side effects. It's a conversation. And you can get a prescription. You access the Massachusetts law, allows someone to go in, get a prescription for pills, and get 1 year's worth of oral contraceptives. People don't know this. It's also good for other methods, barrier methods. It doesn't go for locks, IUDs, Nexplanon, because those last, of course, longer than a year. But people don't know that they can go in and actually get a prescription and go to the pharmacy and get 1 year's worth of contraception, birth control method. That is not well known. And then also, the old pill is on the shelf, and you don't really need a prescription. You can just go in and take it off the shelf.
And I'm sorry, can you say that again? Which pill is on the shelf?
The old pill, the progesterone only pill. Okay. That is, you can find it at your Walgreens, your CVS, and it's right on the shelf.
Now, for my own understanding, I know some women out here may know, but the old pill is a mode of preventing. It's a pill, and
it's a birth control pill. It's just the typical pill is estrogen as a type of fake estrogen and progesterone. And the old pill is progesterone only, but progesterone only pills have been on the market for decades. So it's just now it's available. They are considered a little bit safer because they don't bring the risk of estrogen.
And we know that there are other risks, and maybe at some point later.
But then there's also, if you don't take it every day, there's an increased chance of getting pregnant because it's only estrogen.
And we're going to get into that. We're definitely going to get into that.
But yes, Emily, it's out there. It's out there for you.
Gotcha. Emily, in your case, and where you do your work in Boston Public Schools, can you tell us, and this is presumably on the younger side, and where you're comfortable, you can touch on. I know some parents through the years, and I used to be a youth worker, confidentiality, and that's my child and whatnot. But Massachusetts and maybe some federal law, young people are able to access birth control, if I'm right, in the school-based health centers. Is that correct? The pill, and also let's just name again as we name condoms, which a lot of young people, presumably use. But Emily, can you also tell us about the school-based health, and also anything you wanted to add to what Maureen said in reference to access?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So I think access really is the reason that we are having school-based health centers, that we know teens are much more likely to come in for care if we go to them. They're one of the highest groups to avoid kind of routine healthcare. And being where they are in a place that they're comfortable really leads to them coming in more frequently. And certainly it's important to note that part of our counseling, part of our interaction with young people is always finding out who is an important adult in their life that they can talk to if they have one about their sexual health decision making. We encourage that and always look out for safety issues if they were to come up. And sometimes it really can be helping counsel a young person on how they can have that conversation. They want to, but they're not quite sure. They're worried about what the response would be. So we certainly do, as you mentioned, in Massachusetts, there's a state law that teens can come in for confidential care if they request that, as long as they are safe and not being harmed in any way. But we also do talk through kind of where those supports can come from, and what it means to them if they want to reach out to an adult to talk at home, to talk these things through. And then you had mentioned the schools that don't have a school-based health center. There's also the condom access teams, which are within all of the BPS schools, and parents can opt out of that if they don't want their student to access condoms in BPS. And one thing I just want to say, I think a lot of times there's this worry that by providing services, by providing birth control, that we're encouraging young people to become sexually active. And there have been, now it's probably pretty much older studies, you probably know them, Maureen, but there have been studies of this, and providing access to birth control doesn't actually cause young people to become sexually active. It just helps them protect themselves if they do decide that. They're really not saying, hey, let me go ahead and start this activity because I can get birth control. It's going to happen regardless. And the question is, are they going to be able to get what they need to keep themselves safe and healthy?
The truth of the matter is, hopefully when they come in, they will get the other education. We understand that young people sometimes make not just young people. We're learning in this Cuffin season space. We as human beings sometimes make decisions in spare of the moment, and sometimes young people are a little more prone to. And hopefully the education would come that if they're going to make that spare of the moment and they have not started taking a pill, we'll get into the true and false, because it does not work immediately. And so we named the Boston Public Schools for the condom access teams. We want to name to parents that if you're hearing about this and get concerned, the way that you can, if your child is underage and they're not requesting. So let me ask you a clarifying question, Emily. Parents want to opt out, but the child at what age says, hey, I know what my mama said, but for my health, I need to opt in? It just was a thought of my mind, and I know some parents may be listening, so let's clarify that for them.
So if you're talking about healthcare settings as opposed to school settings, then in healthcare settings, there's an emergency treatment of minor law, and that covers preventing sexually transmitted infection and preventing pregnancy. And so there isn't a age limit associated with that. However, what I would say is that providers, red flags go up as if young people are coming in at younger ages. But even for older teens, there's always an assessment of what their situation is, whether they're being pressured in any way, whether they have the kind of cognitive, emotional maturity to be making the decisions that they are. So that's always a part of it. It's always a comprehensive approach.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I was specifically asking for the CAT team, but thank you for that clarity.
Okay. Sorry.
But in the schools for the condom, the medical, I kind of like knew, but
Okay.
for the condom access team, because that, if I'm wrong, correct me, for young people, when I was a youth worker, this is going back a few years, condoms are the quick, thing. And so we just wanted to have that clarity. So if a parent doesn't want them to get access in schools or want to opt out, the child, the student can't go via the school and get the condoms. They would have to go into a healthcare setting space.
Right.
That's my understanding. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Unless there's a school-based health center, they can go right next door.
Maureen, I was going to come to you and ask if it's a school-based health center, because Emily did say that in a health setting, and they have medical providers in the school-based health centers.
Right.
So in addition, Maureen, to the school-based health centers, there are two other areas in which you oversee now and work within your partnership network. And for example, one of them are the Codman Square Health Center. We had, we got her back.
Okay.
We had Andres on with Maureen when we first introduced Cuffin season, and Codman Square are one of those centers. But Maureen, if you could just talk about the network and where they can go to different health centers, most of them community health centers, where they can go and also access information. And we'll hear another way that they can access information. But can you talk about the network and health centers?
Well, we fund a network of health centers, community health centers, and also hospital clinics. And just like Emily said, adolescents, minors, they can access confidential care without their parents' consent. So there's no opting out, opting in. They can go to these health centers like Codman Square Health Center, the X Clinic, which is has appointments for STI, and I'm not sure. I think they still have walk-in times, but they can also go to Whittier Street or any of these other health centers, walk in and ask to see a family planning counselor. The network that the health centers that we fund under our funding under Title 10, it has to provide accessibility. And they don't have the residential duration log. You don't have to be a patient of that health center. You can seek family planning care in any of these health centers that we fund, and of course access condoms. So if they can't get it in their school and their school does not have a school-based health center, they can go to any community health center. And just probably not just the ones under our network. Many of the community health centers do have family planning programs that are not going to turn a teen away that's looking for, birth control methods, family planning options.
I just wanted to name those health centers as well, Maureen. I'm doing a couple of things here. So that is the Boston Community Leadership Academy, Boston Day and Evening Academy School-Based Health Center, Boston Latin Academy High School, Brighton High School, Jeremiah E. Burke High School, Madison Park. I'm old school. It's a new. I was going to say Madison Park High, Madison Park Technical Vocational School,
right.
New Mission High School, Snowden International School at Copley and Tech Boston. And so those are actually out on our social media.
Yes.
I think we posted that a couple of weeks ago, but we will make sure that information is out to our young people again, especially since we're getting ready to go into vacation season in a few weeks.
We also have one that we added on recently under Whittier Street Health Center, the Boston Day and Evening Academy.
Boston Day and Evening Academy, absolutely.
Yeah, and of course, some of those students are older, but they need to hear this as well.
Absolutely. And Emily, can you just talk about what is an experience when a young person walks into the school-based health center? And then we're going to move into some more spaces with our adults and young people around some of these myths and dispel some of them.
So I guess I would say that it really can vary tremendously. Sometimes we have young people who come in and say, my best friend comes here and they told me to come in and ask some questions. They said, you're nice. They said you keep things private. Other times a teen might come in and be very nervous to talk to us, to say, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to talk to. Sometimes they're very well informed, and sometimes they really don't have a lot of information at their fingertips. So we really try and just start with where they are, and address whatever question they have, whatever they're coming in with, and then just start to kind of expand what they might need. So if, for instance, a young man comes in and says, wants to get screened for STDs, we say, great, that's a great reason to come in. We can help you with that. And then we'll also have a conversation about, what kind of relationships are you in? Are you comfortable in them? Are you able to talk to your partner about using condoms or about preventing pregnancy? So we address the teen with what they're coming in with, and then we expand it out to try and make sure that they have all the information they need, and that they're thinking broadly about their health.
Thank you. Because I wanted to make sure that parents had that information, and our teens as well. And we're going to specifically focus to make sure our teens have that information about the third week in December. I wanted to get to one of the main reasons that why we're here today. And so I have some information here, thanks to Maureen and Jamie, around some of the myths. And so they are, Maureen is smiling because I'm sitting here and I'm like, wait, are people really? And then I'm thinking about our young people, and it's not just our young people. Some of us older heads need to pay attention to this as well. And so let's go into sort of some of the myths and true or false. And I'm going to kind of go back and forth between the two of you. So Maureen, true or false? A woman says that she is breastfeeding, she can't get pregnant. True or false?
That is false. There is some degree of truth. There's always a little piece of truth in there. But to be totally void of getting pregnant while you're breastfeeding, you have to be breastfeeding only, not giving, like when they're babysitting, taking formula every now and then, or the milk that you saved to go out, or now you started feeding them maybe a little bit all the time. It has to be total breast milk, because that may prevent the ovulation. It must be that, and baby only breastfeeding, and you have not had a menstrual cycle, and then within 6 months of delivery. Those all three must be present. And even then, the body works funny, you can't.
So can you recap just the three, just for the concrete info? Emily, what are the
of delivery, has not had a menstrual cycle, and the baby is only feeding on breast milk.
All right, do it again because you popped out.
Oh, I did. I've seen myself too. Okay, so you must be within 6 months of delivery.
Yep.
Have not had a menstrual cycle.
Okay.
And the baby is only breastfeeding. No supplement, no food, just total breastfeeding.
And just for clarity's sake, what that does is that is a hormonal thing.
Yes, the hormones prevent the ovulation.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. This one is interesting. I hope let me see if my mother's in the comments. Oh, she is. Jesus. All right. So this one is weird for me. You can't get pregnant if the woman doesn't have an orgasm. I don't know why. I'm 53 years old, but just this, I'm 53, but I'm still like, Mom, I don't want to talk about this stuff with you, but we need to. Emily, you can get pregnant if the woman doesn't have you can't get pregnant if the woman doesn't have an orgasm. True or false?
False. Definitely false. There really isn't a relationship between the sperm mobility and ovulation that has anything to do with whether the woman has an orgasm or not. That's basically it. Just false.
False. Plain like that. All right, let's go to the next one. Again, this is I won't get true or false. I won't get pregnant if I douche after sex.
Absolutely false.
Absolutely false. Okay. Why?
when ejaculation occurs and sperm is in, they're pretty fast, for one thing. You can clean, wash, do whatever you do.
Hold on. Because all I saw was the cartoon. When you said they're pretty fast, y'all know in health class and whatnot, growing up, that cartoon when they're just. I'm sorry, Maureen,
they're racing. It's true. Once it's in the vaginal canal, it's on a mission. It's on its way to the cervical, to the cervix, to the opening. Douching will not prevent the sperm from making its goal. Washing, urinating will not prevent the sperm. Urinating afterwards will not. The urine comes through the urinary meatus. It does not. It is not the vagina. They're two separate holes. And if anything, douching would increase your risk of getting an STI. You're washing away that normal bacteria you really need in there. So
the other piece is too, do you take the chance of, and this was just a thought, do you take the chance? Well, you said they're fast, but I would just think if they're fast, if you're douching and it's going up, you're actually pushing the sperm.
Well, you would think that, right? You're kind of forcing them on their way.
And you said they don't need no help, but
douching is something that's been going on since 3000 BC. It's like, this is something that we cannot talk. If a woman is decided to do, we cannot talk women out. Have you known that Emily, talking someone out of douching is a lot of convincing. They seem to feel fresh and clean afterwards. If they have an odor, they think they can wash it away. By the way, if there's an odor there, you need to see your
something else.
There's something else going on. So douching is an absolute no-no, and especially with the risk of increasing your chances of STIs and HIV.
All right. Thank you for that. One quick question. We were asked, I don't see it on the list, but Rita MC asked, what about Brookside Health Center? They're not a network partner currently.
It would be nice if they were, but they're not.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Next for you, Emily this is the one that, and you can't you can't smile because education is important and we need to make sure that people know. And just Maureen to touch on, there are some traditions and I don't want to use the term they're not tales, but y'all know what I mean, the old term, and I don't want to be disrespectful. There are tales that are believed by some settled women. I'll frame it like that. I won't get pregnant if I take a shower. I won't say it. I won't get pregnant if I take a shower or bath right after sex or if I urinate right after sex. You kind of covered it, Maureen, but Emily, feel free to do a definitive. What is it? True or false?
So that is false. And for the same reasons that douching wouldn't work is you really just can't wash the sperm out. One thing to think about is that sperm are microscopic. We're talking teeny tiny. And so it's really not like something that you can rinse off. And there are ways that the sperm are mobile and they're going to go up where they're going to go. And it just, isn't protective at all.
As the young people say, when it's up, it's up. So douching doesn't work, and also washing and urinating doesn't work. Maureen, I'm going to come back to you. And this one, I'm going to be very honest. This is after dark. Back in the days when I was in high school, there was a young man that a lot of dudes used to joke about because he went to have sex one day and couldn't find a condom. And the story is he used saran wrap. This ain't far-fetched. You can use plastic wrap or a balloon if you don't have a condom. True or false?
That is false. First of all, their condoms are such that they are made not to be torn. Of course, they can be torn with someone with really long nails or someone that puts it on incorrectly and it bursts. But no, plastic wraps, they're not a good fit, and they're not made to provide. They can be torn very easily. So that's pretty much it.
Okay.
And there can be leakage.
Emily, go ahead.
Yeah, if they're not fitting.
Yeah,
it's gonna leak out on the sides, and I don't know how you're gonna hold it on there with the plastic wrap. I'm trying to figure that out, but I guess you can get that saran wrap that sticks to each other. Is that what they're doing?
I mean, it just seems like
condom. Think of the same model of a female condom. You take enough of the saran wrap. It ain't putting it on.
Right.
I'm not giving nobody no ideas. Okay, Emily, we're gonna come back to you for this one. I don't need contraception because we only have sex during the safe time. You're only fertile, Lord Jesus, fertile 1 day a month. True or false?
So that would be false because the ovulation window is definitely longer than 1 day. And also it can, women's cycles can fluctuate quite a bit. The hormones that run the menstrual cycle and the ovulation, that all comes from the brain, and that's affected by things like sleep and stress and changes in exercise, changes in schedule. So if someone wanted to use kind of natural family planning, fertility awareness, it's just a pretty big project. So there is a lot of careful tracking and calculating that has to go on with that. And it certainly involves avoiding sex for more than 1 day, many days out of the month. And in general, for many people, it is a difficult method to be effective because it is pretty complicated. And I think with all of the methods of birth control, what we want people and their partners to be thinking about is what is their kind of risk benefit analysis of how important it is for them to not get pregnant at this time. And so there's lots of different things people can try, but what you want to think about is, do I want something that's really effective, that's going to work really well, or is this a time in my life that I can kind of take a chance, and if a pregnancy happened, it's okay. And so throughout the lifespan, there's going to be different times in people's lives when one type of birth control will be the better choice or another will be the better choice, but it's important for people to have the information about whether something's effective or not.
And that's one of the reasons that I think it's so important to just keep reiterating the fact that that's why we have this partnership. That's why we have the school-based health centers. That's why we have community health centers in itself. But this important piece of reproductive health, if you are not making a conscious decision and are conscious and intentional about that, as Emily said, if it happens, it happens. If, whatever. But the intentionality around the effectiveness has to be definitely intentional. No pun intended there. But
I do want to say that fertility awareness, not to turn people totally away from it. If their feeling is not that they want a hormonal or even a barrier method, to go to one of these clinics, to go to your school-based health center, you can get counseling on how to do fertility awareness methods. It doesn't encompass
the red mark thing on the calendar.
Yes, it does do that. It also does a lot of counting where your safe days and your fertile days are, but it also includes cervical mucus checks, your your temperature, your basal body temperature, taking your temperature before you get out of the bed, before you eat, drink, anything. In counting the days. And then during that time of unsafeness, using a condom as your backup method.
As a barrier
when you
method.
Put that together of having sex during the safe days and also using a condom, then you're less likely to get pregnant. But you must know that anywhere from the percentage is pretty high in using that method because your body, as Emily said, your body changes with stress and everything else, lack of sleep, and that might be the time this month where your cycle just took a turn. Instead of having your period within 28 days, you had it within 22 days or 32 days, and that's going to throw your whole calendar off. So even before doing the fertility awareness, you should be tracking your menses for like 6 months so you can get an average, and then you'll know better where your safe days and your unsafe days are.
Maureen, thank you for that even more clarity. And hearing you say the word menses, I'm sure no one would mind. That it made me think of our wonderful late great advocate in this space of Irving Goldston.
Yes.
And so we just want to Goldston rather. We just want to just name her when I heard you mention that. What was her thing? Care about your menses. She was just a great advocate in this space. And so thank you so much for just reminding me of her. Emily, this one's for, Emily, this one's for you, Maureen. This one was funny. Not funny, but I won't get pregnant if, this is the other one. I won't get pregnant if we have sex standing up, or if a woman's saying it, or if I'm riding him, or if a guy saying it. If she's riding me, she's not going to get pregnant.
Right.
True or false?
Definitely false.
Gravity. Because you talk about little things.
Position has nothing to do with once that semen, once it's ejaculated, that sperm is like headed like down the vaginal canal straight to the cervical opening, and it has nothing to do if you're sitting, standing, bending over, riding a pony, doing whatever you're doing. It does not make a difference where you are, what you're doing. It doesn't make a difference if you're having sex underwater. It doesn't make any difference.
First of all, while we have the information and get all our understanding, I've seen, little memes and reels and videos of stuff. And let me ask you this. Is it just safe when we talk about pH balance and all that other stuff, having sex in water? Is that just for a woman and the vaginal secretions? And I'm going to have to at some point get me a woman host and when they're like these, have them come in, because I grew up around women and whatnot, but I'm also want to be respectful because I'm not a woman and we're talking about a woman's issue, man's issue as far as knowledge, but the body in itself. You brought it up, so can I just ask? Because I'll be honest, I've wondered, like, if you're in the water, the chlorine and germs and
well, you might be a little irritated with the chlorine, but I would think that would help a little bit with the lubrication.
Not the water.
You asked me.
Not water. Now I know water soluble lubricants and all that, but not plain water. All right. Hi, Ma. No matter the position, it is if
no matter.
No. Okay. All right. Now this is the one that is the most popular, and I've been talking about. Emily, my pull-out game is strong. Right before I just get ready, I pull out. Can somebody get pregnant?
So absolutely. Unfortunately, the pull-out method, while it decreases the chance of pregnancy somewhat, it's not a very effective method. And there's some different reasons for that. One is that in the pre-ejaculate or pre-cum, there can be a small amount of sperm, and that it really only takes one. So there's that aspect. And then also it's pretty hard to do. So it can be the plan. The couple can say, this is what we're going to do. He's going to pull out. He's not going to ejaculate inside, but in the heat of the moment, it's a difficult thing to do every single time. So with those two things together, it can be the case that something like, Maureen, you can correct me if I have this statistic wrong, but it's somewhere around, if 100 couples are using the pullout method over the course of a year, about 15 of those couples, 15 to 25 might become pregnant because you can't be perfect. We're all human. It's just difficult to do.
Listen. Maureen,
and it is a pre-cum, Emily.
Right.
So.
Right.
And you said it takes a little one. Like, we know that, is it millions? I got to go back. It's hundreds, millions that come out when a man ejaculates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if they a little bit, and then this is after dark.
You don't need a lot of ejaculation.
Right.
You don't need a lot, but the other thing is, some of the dudes are what you call it? They're pulling out on the second nut. Sorry, because they're lying. They don't know how to fit. if we're going to have this conversation, let's have this harm reduction real conversation.
And you also got to think about the vaginal opening. Maybe on their way out, they deposited a little at the vaginal opening. Well, it may not be all the way in the vaginal canal right near the cervix, but it's going to find its way in. But
then if you go mess around and douche, you can help.
You're going to help it out, huh? Yeah. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, he came on his way out, or he came on top of me, like on the vaginal, outside my vagina, not inside. You need to also be careful with that.
Okay, never mind. All right. The pill, that was Maureen, Emily. The pill is effective immediately after you begin taking it. This kind of came up a little bit when we talked about that. And let's just reiterate the fact that making sure that young people have the information in case they, because y'all know some of y'all old heads didn't intend on it and then wound up. So I'm gonna leave that right there. The question is, the pill is effective immediately after you begin taking it. True or false?
So that's false. It depends a little bit on your menstrual cycle and when you start it. If you do start it within 7 days of your period starting and you're very consistent with it, then it can be effective right away. But most of the time people are not taking it in conjunction with their cycle in that way. And then it's not effective for 7 days, that you would need to use backup contraception for that to be working. And then the other thing that people should know is that if they're taking it consistently, not forgetting pills, not taking them late most of the time, then it'll be effective. But if you miss pills, if you miss 2 or 3 pills in a row, then you have to go back to the 7 days to be protected again.
And do you get back on cycle, or you wind up starting a new cycle based on when you started after you missed the 2 or 3 days?
Right. That's a really great question. And it's a little detailed. What I would say is that it depends how many pills are missed and when in the cycle they're missed, so birth control pills usually have 3 weeks of active pills.
And they have the little colors in the circle. I remember.
Right.
I'm
yeah. So what I would say is that just because I don't want to get into too many specifics, people are not going to necessarily remember it if I'm just verbally saying this. But what I would say is if someone forgets 1 pill and they remember it the next day and they make it up by taking 2, then you're okay. Anything other than that, more pills than that, different parts of times during this cycle, the weeks, I would say contact your provider, because use condoms as a backup until you can get in touch with someone and say, okay, am I good now? Do I need to start a new pack? Am I all set with the pack I'm on? But use condoms as a backup when there's missed or late pills.
Let me ask you this, based on those colors, when you talked about the time of month and the different colors and cycle and whatnot, let's say hypothetically on October 3rd, because of my cycle, I'm supposed to take the white pill on October 3rd. And then on October 4th, I switched to the pink pill. You know how they have different things. It was a thought. So I know somebody else may have thought it. Can you mix the colors to keep it simple?
You shouldn't.
You should. Okay.
The pill is trying to mimic your body. Your with your natural hormones. It's fake hormone, it's fake hormones. It's trying to mimic your cycle. So the periods actually, when you at the end of the cycle, when you have, the hormone levels dropping just like your body, and then you'll have your menstrual cycle. So for you to mix it up, it's not going to work that way.
If you miss, and they're in this again, if you miss the best thing to do is just check with your doctor. Presumably, I'm not a clinician. Neither one of these clinicians have seen anyone, but if they're in the same color, you don't get to talk to the doctor. You might be a little bit okay, but you still need to check in with your doctor to make sure, just so you get the advice, because at worst, you're off cycle. You think you're on cycle. You have sex off cycle. Guess what? Right. You're pregnant.
Yeah.
So we got, go ahead, Emily.
No, I was just going to say, birth control pills. I'm sure Maureen has seen it all as well. They're usually either square with kind of 4 weeks in a row, or a circle with 3 weeks on the outside and 1 week on the inside. And it can get confusing. Sometimes people can go vertically instead of horizontally, or start the pills on the outside of the circle and then accidentally start on the inside. So the other thing that can happen is that the pills can be labeled for like a Sunday start, but you might start your pills on a Tuesday and need to put a sticker on so that you
Right.
know where you're at. And so I would say that in order to be able to keep track of even, did I remember my pill today? I mean, we're all busy. We all have
I was going
complicated
to say that.
lives, right?
Right.
And so
Life in. Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
you know, you can wake up the next day and say, did I take it last night or not? And so
Mhm.
the best thing to do is to have the pill pack labeled appropriately so that you know
Right.
which day you're on, and you can easily see if you missed a pill somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I
And
don't
it's
want to get
different now. We used to do the
Right,
Sunday after. Remember, we used to do the Sunday after your
right,
period years ago. Now you can walk
right.
in, you can do a same day
Hmm.
start, and
Hmm.
that alone is going to throw your cycle off. So
Right.
you need the labeling when you started is very important.
Hmm.
respect to my women. Let me ask you this. It's a thought, so I'm
Sure.
going to ask.
Yeah.
To end, you got those little packs. Have you ever heard of a patient transferring out of the packs into one of those day pills, the pill boxes?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I haven't heard that. I don't know what Maureen thinks. My thought would be it's probably best to stick with the
Stick with the
labeled
pack.
blister
Okay, gotcha,
pack.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
when you said it, I'm like, okay, if you're gonna have to with that little thing now, when I remember about as
Yeah.
big as this,
mm,
it was a thought, so I had to ask, like, if you
It's
use
also
the pill
easier to
box.
see. It's also easier to see if you've missed a pill when you stay
mhm,
in the bubble pack, because if you
Gotcha.
just put them all in the little pill
mhm.
dispenser, you're not going to know if you missed. You're not going to remember that how many pills you had in there to start with, and no, that's too
And one thing
confusing.
Well,
that's
yep.
nice about birth control pills is um, uh, that a lot of women like is that it generally makes your period pretty predictable. You know that it's going to come in the middle of that fourth week, and so that's another reason to keep it in that pack, is so that then you're not kind of like not knowing when your
Yeah,
period's going to show up. It
yeah,
tends to get pretty regular, and come right when it's
right.
expected.
So that's a
And women
benefit.
who are really
Hmm.
savvy, they'll skip that last week. I shouldn't put that out there, but they'll
Mm.
skip that last week if they're going or
Hmm.
doing something and they don't want their period to show, and they'll just keep
Hmm.
going to the next pack.
Hmm.
It
And
doesn't
that
hurt you,
yeah, it
but it's
doesn't.
not
Yeah.
Hold on.
it's
You
not
did a cheat
harmful.
code, huh?
It's not harmful to miss a
No.
period. Um,
Give me a realistic example. Well, maybe we don't want to.
Oh, no, like a camping trip, right? So
Okay.
like
exactly.
you're going to go out and be in a tent, and maybe having to like hike over to a restroom or something like that, and maybe during the day you're going to be swimming and hiking, and who wants to be carrying all the supplies and dealing with that
Okay.
throughout the day? So,
Emily, you're good. Because I
or
thought Maureen meant another trip, going to see a
oh,
bull or something.
well, that too. I mean,
Something.
that absolutely. It could be a
Yeah.
rendezvous that you want to avoid your period for,
Yeah.
or it could be even something like a sporting tournament, right? Like you're going to be
Right.
Absolutely.
you're going to be
Okay.
running a road race or something, and it's
Yep.
just why deal with
Athletes
that
have
right
that
then?
down pat.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me because we're getting this. Oh
Mm.
my goodness, it's 8:54. All right, we're not going to rush, but
Wow.
we want to talk about some of the myths of side effects, and there are about 5 of them. And so if we can run through them, I want to go with what I would perceive is the least common is well, maybe not IUDs. What are intrauterine devices? I
Mhm.
still remember from my family planning training. IUDs can cause pelvic inflammatory disease. True or false, Emily?
So that would be false. If you have a sexually transmitted infection right around the time that the IUD is placed, then there might be a slightly increased risk of higher risk of infection. But generally speaking, either testing is done right away when the IUD is being placed, or treatment is given to prevent any infection at that time. So again, this is something that has evolved over time. There was a time that there was a lot more concern about making sure that there wasn't an infection happening when the IUD was placed, and having an IUD, did that create a situation where you'd be more at risk for infection? But with the way that they're placed now, and the information we have,
it's not only placement, Emily, too, isn't it the material as well?
Yes.
Makes them less more prone to be to get an
Thanks.
infection. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look. It ain't gonna help me out. But I can help somebody else. It ain't gonna help me out much. But birth control will affect my ability to have children in the future. Maureen, true or false?
And that's false. That's false. If you're talking about specifics of birth control pills, of course it's reversible. If some women that, just like Emily said, if you skip a few pills, pregnancy is probably going to happen. And with Depo, which kind of a lot of women don't have periods because of its effect on the lining in the uterus. If they're late for their Depo shot, and they're likely to get pregnant right away.
And also, is it true? Because I don't think none of them on, and I won't say which one it was, but I remember like overhearing my sisters once. She got up and she was, in menses, but she had made reference to the fact that she had either missed the pill, or she had reference to the fact that it was due to the birth control. We didn't talk about that too much. Is that something that also happens as well when either Depo or the I remember hearing in high school, or maybe right after, of young women saying they were like, you ain't got to worry about no more period. You go get that Depo shot.
And that's false as well.
That's okay.
A lot of women don't have periods because of the effect on the lining, and some women continue to have periods, and some women have spotting. So it varies from woman to woman. You can't just use one person. You're more likely not to have his periods as often, and more with the spotting. And some women don't, and most women don't have periods, but you can't rely on that as a method to stop your periods.
One of the things I wanted to reiterate is, along with these coming into the school and emergency contraception and things like that, routine and preventative healthcare, which includes normal, regular pap smears and other things that go within women's health, that is one of the best ways to stay healthy in general. But keeping in contact with your doctor in general, if there's any change in any type of your health, or your nurse. Let's be fair. You're not fair. Let's give credit to nurse practitioners and physician assistants as well. So routine and preventative healthcare in the overall scope is very, very important. I'm going up to this one. I kind of remember hearing birth control causes cancer. Maureen Emily, this is you. Go ahead. Thank you for keeping track.
So that is false. Birth control contraception doesn't increase your risk of cancer, and in the case of birth control pills and other combined hormonal methods like the patch or the ring, it can actually decrease your risk of certain kinds of cancers, like uterine cancers.
Okay, thank you. And that was just plain and simple there. The other thing I can't reiterate enough is every individual, every human being, every patient is an individual. Both Maureen and Emily are talking from a sort, and this is why, not to get too far off, clinical trials and things like that there's information to prove, but it does not negate the fact that each person is an individual. So some weeks and months now, you may hear something. Each patient is an individual. Their DNA and everything makeup is different. This is broad, what they've seen through the years over research, but it doesn't negate that maybe someone has developed cancer. But I just wanted to say that because you all have not physically examined anyone. And also these are what you all have observed being in medicine for. What's the combined between the both of y'all? I'm just curious. Emily, how many years?
About 20 years.
And Maureen?
Nurse practitioner, 34, and a nurse, 48.
We got 50 years and I'm going to give myself 6 months for my little certificate planner as a family member. So we got over 50 years of information here, but I just wanted to say that we're getting down to the last couple. I'm going to save this one. Well, we talked about weight gain, but weight gain and hair loss, specifically to Depo, and I'll be very transparent because I'm old school. I have been known to getting ready to get cussed out because I have like walked up to some young women and jokingly said, "Ooh, you on Depo?" Because I said that I almost got slapped. But these are, women I have relationships with and just teasing. But I just thought about that when I saw that. But let's talk about that. Depo specifically, weight gain and hair loss. Why don't we do weight gain for Maureen, hair loss for Emily, and we'll get ready to wrap up.
Right. Weight gain, taking hormones can affect weight gain in that it changes your appetite. The pill itself does not cause weight gain. And I used to tell my patients, they say, well, I feel hungry a lot. I'm eating a lot. Saying, well, then let's focus on what you're putting in your mouth as what your diet is, instead of just blaming it on the pill. Okay. If you do feel that you have an increased appetite, then maybe we need to change what you're eating so we don't increase your chances of gaining weight.
Okay. And Emily, the hair loss.
So in terms of the hair loss and Depo, there is some association for some women, but it's a very small percentage. So depending on the study, either 1 to 5% or the most up to 10% of some changes in either having some hair loss or less hair growth. And so I think what you were talking about in terms of everyone is an individual, everyone has their own body's reaction to things. And as a practitioner, I never discount what someone says to me. If they come in and say, this is what I am feeling, I am never going to say, oh, you can't be feeling that because the studies say you don't. That doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I want the patients I work with to know what's likely and what's unlikely. So the benefits of Depo in preventing an unwanted pregnancy, for most women wanting to prevent pregnancy, would outweigh that very small risk of the hair loss. And it is something that can be changed to a different type of birth control. That's the one thing that we have more and more and more options. And so one of the things we do when patients come in is we talk through, okay, what's important to you? Is it effectiveness? Is that the most important thing? Or is it ease of use? Or is it not wanting hormones or wanting hormones, because the hormones can help with things like acne or making your period lighter, things like that. So you walk through, here's all of the possibilities and what's going to work for you. And if one particular potential side effect is really important for one person to avoid, then sure, we'll just skip that one. We'll talk about something else that might work better for them. But it certainly doesn't make sense to cross Depo off the list because of a 1% chance of changes in hair texture or hair loss.
I do want to say one more thing. With the weight gain, 3 out of 4 women have shown, like with studies, to gain 1.4 pounds.
3 out of 4.
The first year.
1.4.
Yeah, 3 at 3. Yeah, 1.4 pounds.
On average.
Pounds over the first year. So 3 out of 4 women the first year. So, it does make a difference with some women. Just like Emily said, you have to choose, what makes sense to you.
And as an individual, as Miss Teresa, who's tuning in from out in Worcester, mentioned that my experience only, I have alopecia, and my dermatologist says that my years on Depo did contribute to the progression of my hair loss, but did not cause it. So thank you for that balance, Miss Teresa. And also she named that, again, with each individual, there are so many class action lawsuits surrounding Depo shot causing uterine cancer. Again, each individual is different, but these are, again, something I heard one of my doctors that I used to partner with via Healthy Java. And these hormonal methods are, if you're not intentionally trying to get pregnant at this time, these benefits outweigh the risk
Greater risk.
Yes. And if you're also active with your birth control, presumably you're also being active with prevention of STIs and HIV as well. Generally speaking, I'm going to leave that there. I wanted to just remind folks as we get ready to wrap up that this is part of a partnership, everyone, and we are in partnership with ABCD Health Services around cuffing season. And so we wanted to let you know, and if you go to my page, go to ABCD's page, there are a few flyers up. We want to thank our partner, Real Boston Media, if you go to their page as well. And we have a bunch of information out about kiosks, but specifically, if you, as we talked about young people, but young people aren't leaving the club at 2:00 in the morning. So if you leave in 2:00 in the morning, you can't get to a store and you need condoms or a sex kit. Guess what? There are 3 kiosks around the city and they're out there, but we're going to name the addresses right now at ABCD Dorchester Neighborhood Service Center on Claiborne Street, and also at ABCD Parker Hill Fenway Neighborhood Center, which is at 714 Parker Street in Roxbury, and then the ABCD Roxbury North Dorchester Neighborhood Center, which is at 565 Warren Street. Most of us know where the ABCD centers are. Most of us are SummerWorks kids. Right. Somebody in our family has applied for heating assistance, who we had on this morning as well. But this information is out there and we will post it as well. We do have one question and feel free for any one of you. Miss Teresa, don't be asking because she ain't old enough yet. Lord Jesus. No. At what age is it safe for young ladies to start taking any form of birth control? She ain't there yet, Miss Teresa. Sorry.
Do they have a period?
I don't want to know this part. I just, Miss Teresa, we can put you in touch with Maureen, and you can ask her that offline. I want to hear about that, about one of my there's a set of twins, and one of them is a young lady, and they growing up, and I don't want to know nothing about it. No, not now. We want her to be safe and whatnot. You give her the information, but she ain't. All right. Maureen and Emily, I really appreciate whatever. She ain't that old. I really appreciate both of you being here with me this evening and getting the information out to the community. And we also are coming back in December. If my good friend is listening, we'll have that date confirmed soon. And they know who they are. No, so I'm messing. And also we'll be back toward the end of January and right before February with After Darks. January, actually, we're going to do a daytime show and check-in. But I really appreciate both of you being here with us on a Thursday evening at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And it's actually after 9. So thank both of you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
it's been great.
You made me say nah, so this is definitely I'm in a serious place because I usually don't say nah on the show. But no, it's just so important. I can't reiterate enough that I hope some brothers were watching as well to be aware of this for them as loved ones and dads, uncles, godfathers. Y'all got nieces and nephews and daughters, and have the information. Be that resource for them. So thank both of you for being here this evening. And Miss Teresa also says, thank you so much thank you ladies for your great and informative information. We had somebody comment earlier, Alex Love. So many common, many common myths. I need to go eat because I'm starting to stutter. And also your cousin Barbara said hello, Maureen. She's a charter member of the Java family, and she said hello as well. And so Rita also said hello to Maureen and you as well, to you and Emily as well. So thank both of you for being here. We'll let you know, folks, what the December date is. And the December date, what do we say we're talking about in December, Maureen? I forgot.
Maternal health, Black maternal health.
We're going to talk. So one of these, we're going to have an after dark this geared toward us,
I got a whole list.
Well, we're gonna have to figure something out because we need to have it after dark for the brothers.
For the fellas.
Yes, I would love to do that.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Again, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
And for our regular audience, I'll let you both go and I'll do
Emily, thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Maureen.
And Emily, tell my good friends over there, make sure you tune
I
in.
will.
I'll go ahead and do the plug right now. This is all public health together. On Monday at 10 a.m., we have the honor of furthering the public health conversation with the commissioner of the Boston Public Health Commission, at which Emily works. I think I said that right. Dr. Basola Ojukutu, who is not a stranger here to the Java Cafe, will be with us, and they are one of the network partners along with ABCD. So I know I'm not going to get in trouble because we're in partnership here. But thank you both so much, and we'll see you. Maureen, we'll see you soon on a call, and Emily, I'm sure I'll see you somewhere.
Absolutely.
Thank you both.
Right. Good night,
Thank
Emily.
you. Good night.
Good night, Emily.
Folks, don't forget that on Monday, again, Dr. Ojukutu will be here at 10 a.m. And then on Tuesday, we will speak with Nicole Colbreth, who is a neighborhood community services who has developed a product to support and work with young people. And on Thursday, this is Native American Heritage Month. And I have the opportunity to bring some folks in leadership from the Chapel. Now, I always get it right. Now I'm trying to read it and now I'm messing up. I need to look at it and then look away. Oh, I can't say it tonight. I'm sorry. I'm tired. Let's try it again. Chappaquiddick. I got it. I was concentrating too much. They'll be with us on Thursday morning as we acknowledge and celebrate Native American Heritage Month. And so we have some great programming outlined for you next week. Dr. Ojukutu will be with us on Monday. On Tuesday, we'll have the quick lid. Folks, on Wednesday will be a shot of Java. And also on Thursday, we will have celebrate Native American Heritage Month. So that is it for me, everyone. Thank you for all of you that joined over on Instagram. Thank all of you that joined over on Twitter as well. I'm messing with y'all on Twitter because y'all don't engage. And y'all really be over there watching and don't be letting me know and don't say nothing in the comments. Where we at? Twitter. There are 25 of y'all on here on Twitter watching. Hit the little video and live chat and say something. Anyway, thank you for joining tonight. For our regular Java family, we will be back with you on Monday at 10 a.m. Have a great weekend, everybody. And again, this is me saying this in a very uncertain time of what's going to happen with health, period, and specifically reproductive health. As much information that you can get it from reliable, accurate resources. This is one of them. So thank you for joining us for Cuffin season with ABCD Health Services. And we will see you guys on Monday at 10 a.m. There's some other comments in here. Miss Teresa, I'm not answering that question because believe it or not, I'm about to. Okay. I got up with the comments. All right. We'll see you guys Monday at 10 a.m. Have a great day, everybody. And thank you so much for being with us this evening. And share some folks that need to, we keep these videos up. Tag some people that need to watch them and send it to a couple of brothers. All right. Have a great evening and weekend, everybody.